Heath and Tracy's advice for newlyweds. This is the Joyfully Married After podcast, episode 19. This is Joyfully Married After with Heath and Tracy. I'm Heath.
And I'm Tracy.
We're joyfully married after how many years, baby?
26.
26 years, 4 kids, corporate jobs, entrepreneurs, and this podcast is our view on life through our lens.
Let's go.
Hey, baby, we're talking about newlyweds.
Newlyweds.
Do you remember when you were a newlywed, baby?
Yes, I do. It was so traumatic.
It was just yesterday.
But it was traumatic. And you don't forget traumatic experiences.
What do you mean traumatic? I didn't inflict any trauma upon you.
Yes, you did.
Never in my life have I laid a finger on you, Tracy. What are you talking about?
No. You've never laid a finger on me. No.
Okay, so what are you saying?
It was hard. It was hard figuring out how to be a wife because I wasn't a wife before we got married.
Yeah.
It was hard figuring out how to fit into another family. It was hard trying to figure out I was a mother.
Yeah. So
it was hard trying to figure out, how to be a mother.
Right.
It was hard.
And you were saying that a lot of times people will say things like, they go right into the wedding. The wedding.
So this is what happens. You get married. Well, you talk about getting married. It's like the wedding. When are you going to have a baby? The wedding. Where's the baby? The wedding. It's like, can we be married, please?
Yeah. I work with a lot of people in that age group where they're beginning to get married and they're just starting to be married, and it's like a lot of conversations around the wedding.
Yeah,
we're buying a house.
They don't talk anything about
we bought
the
a
marriage.
house already.
Oh my gosh.
And then we're getting married.
Fancy.
Or those kinds of things. Hey, we've got the dogs, we've got the house.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the dogs.
Right, it's like a lot of stuff, and there's not a lot of conversation around how to make the marriage successful, how to be really good newlyweds, and
they don't ask you any questions about that, do they?
I think a lot of them feel like they sort of know their partner. They've either been living together already, or they've known them for a long time, or those kinds of things.
So do you think they're ready? No, so this has happened to you a little bit because you work with a lot of young people. Mm-hmm. So my question to you, Heath, is do you think they're ready for marriage?
I think that they have some work to do. I think that my goal in life has always been that if I had a beautiful model with my parents. They were married 47 years before my dad passed. And my goal has always been that if I'm going to be married, I know I'm going to be married for my entire life to this woman. And I want to be joyful in my marriage. I want to have an exciting, fun, happy, joyful experience in my marriage. And so I've always had that approach to the marriage itself.
I think that's important because I think when I thought about being married, when we started talking about it and we're thinking about it, I thought the same things.
Right.
I thought, okay, I'm going to marry this man, but I want to make sure that I'm going to be happy in this marriage. I want this union to work. Yep. And I dated other guys. I was proposed to a couple of times, and I reneged because I knew in my heart of hearts that it wasn't going to be a joyfully happy, joyfully ever after kind of situation. So it's very important that when you're thinking about proposing to someone or you're thinking about accepting from someone, that you look at them and understand that they're not the person they're going to be forever.
Right.
That's the first thing. The second thing you want to understand is you want to make sure you have a mindset of I want to be happy a long time in this union.
Yeah. So that's kind of the Heath and Tracy thesis in general. So this podcast that we're talking about right now is going to really sort of hit some key spots on our advice. If we were sitting here talking to people who are just about to get married or who have just gotten married, what are the top things we're going to say to them about being married?
Right. What's another one?
So the first thing I want to talk about is communication being very key.
Okay.
So when we talk about communication from a marital perspective, what we're saying is you have to talk to the person that you're married to about what it is that you like, what it is that you want, and things that bother you. You have to make sure that you're talking to them about that.
Especially in that first year.
Yes.
Especially in that first year, because you think we've lived together,
right?
Or we've known each other since we were younger, or we went to the same school, we have likes. That's still not intimate enough sometimes. You have to really open yourself up, be as vulnerable and communicative as over communicate.
Sure.
Over communicate during that first year.
Yeah, because that's how you learn. That's the learning process. You're getting to know each other in a different way, in a more intimate way, in a more official way. There are lots of things that go along with marriage. Sometimes you have a paradigm of if there should be a change in what you've done before, what you've done after, before you were married and after you were married, even if you were living together, what have you. So I think that all of those things are important to talk about and communicate with. So communication is very key.
Communication is key.
Yes.
And that's just, and when I say maybe you should set aside time to communicate.
Yeah.
And how do you set aside time to communicate?
You have to plan it. You have to plan for it.
You have to plan it.
Yeah, because I've seen things that talk about the number of hours that you should be with your spouse during the course of the week, right? And so if you think about it in terms of you're at work for a certain amount of time, if you are doing other things, you're watching TV.
40, 50 hours at work.
40, 50 hours at work. You got to spend a certain amount of hours sleeping.
Yeah.
You have to spend a certain amount of hours maybe doing some work stuff at home.
Yep.
You could be doing personal projects. You do this or that. You play soccer. You're a carpenter and you like to build furniture. Whatever it is that you do.
Right.
You have to figure out, oh, wow, just exclusive time with my spouse. I might need to dedicate some time for that. But if you don't plan for it, you may not get it.
And a lot of people do that with date nights.
Yeah.
But plan your date nights or date days very, make sure it's a time when you're communicating, when you're being intimate, when you're connecting.
Yeah. Not
just going to see a movie.
But the point I was getting to there was that I read an article that said that you should spend a minimum of 10 hours per week, uninterrupted, dedicated time to your spouse. So if you think about those things that we just outlined, how much time do you actually spend when it's just you guys, right? And so you've heard the term pillow talk, right? So how many hours of pillow talk are there, to your point, Tracy, about date night?
I love pillow talk.
How many hours are you engaged in just that one-to-one engagement with your spouse, aside from just watching a movie, right? Because you can be sitting there watching a movie,
right?
But that's 2 hours of time that you're not really talking. Yes, you're together, but the one-to-one engagement, I think, is what's most important, especially in this context of what we're talking about with communication.
Yeah, like something that Heath and I do is we get up early. He takes the boys to school, and I go ahead and get up. So when he's back, that's time as he's getting ready and I'm getting ready for work.
Yep.
That's actual time we can spend with one another without any distractions. We don't turn on the news. Good morning. No, we don't turn on any of that stuff. We just listen to music and conversate about our day, conversate about our week, make plans. What conversations did you have with the boys on the way to school? What's going on with your day? This is what we do every single morning.
And that's probably an hour a morning,
it's
right?
About an hour.
That's 5 hours during the business week right there.
Knocked it down.
That you're spending that time communicating.
Right. And then in the evenings, we try to do this. If some huge kind of something sports is on, I don't get it. But for the most part, we try to go to bed around the same time.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not sleepy, now if you're sleepy, it's different. Just get in the bed and go to sleep. Don't feel any pressure around that.
Right.
But if we're not sleepy, we at least get in the bed. And it's not always to have sex. It's not always to make love. Sometimes it's just to sit in there, read articles to one another, talk about funny things that happened that day, or keep planning, do some more planning. But it's still, and that's usually about an hour before we either fall asleep or something.
Yeah.
And it's another moment for us to connect. So there in a day, we've knocked out 2 hours right there.
Yep. Yep. So that's really key. Communication. Talk about what you need. Talk about what you want. Talk about anything that's bothering you. Talk, communicate, whatever you need to do is very key.
Yep. What's the next one?
Have fun.
Oh my gosh, you have to. First year of marriage.
It's your life. You're newlyweds, you're young, or if you're not young, you're older. The point is that you're newlyweds and you want to have fun. You want to enjoy yourself. You want to enjoy your new spouse. Have fun.
Yeah, I think you should plan the fun. I think because our lives are so busy and we're so inundated with everything, I think you should plan to have the fun.
Yeah.
If you both graduated from the same college or something, plan to go to the next homecoming together. If you live in a cold weather area, plan to spend one of the winter months in a warm place. If you love a certain band or rap duo or hip hop crew, plan to attend their concert that year. Any city that is going to suit you. I think it's important to not only plan your wedding, plan your honeymoon, but go ahead and plan that fun year together because it's going to be a tough one. I don't care what people tell you. Merging your life with another person, merging your life with another family is going to test you.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. So you have to just make sure that you plan some fun. I like it, baby.
Plan it. Go ahead and plan the wedding, plan the honeymoon, plan the fun.
Another piece of that is attitude, right? And I think that as long as you have a really positive attitude about integrating that fun into your life, right? Because to your point, life is going to come with challenges. You're going to have some things that you're trying to do. You're merging lives, you're merging families, you're dealing with work and whatever else that you're dealing with. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so I think attitudinally is really key there, right? And that dovetails into the next topic, which is keeping God first.
This is probably first and foremost in Heath and I's marriage is God.
Yeah.
We've had ups and downs. We've had trials and tribulations. We've had a lot of money and we've had no money. It's important to understand who you belong to. It's important to understand where you are grounded just by yourself, because sometimes that other person in your life is going to complicate things in some way or another.
Yeah.
You might look at them some days and say, you know what, I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And when you remember who and whose you are and where you are in his heart, that he's within you, you are going to be fine. You're going to get through this test.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add to that, baby, is that, we come at our marriage from a Christian perspective.
Yes, we do.
And I think that regardless of your faith, right, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, what have you, the sanctity of marriage, the foundational truth, how each scripture, each doctrine speaks to it in scripture. So we have scriptural outlines for what it is, marriage being the foundation of the family and all of those things. So I think that's very important to understand that piece.
So when you think about your faith, your religion, is like some people like to call it. We don't like to call it religion. We don't believe in religion, but that's what our world calls it, is religion. But when you believe in your faith, what gives you strength? What gives you faith in everything else that you do? You have to lean on that in that first year marriage.
Yep.
You're going to have to lean on that in that first year marriage.
Yeah, yeah. And so we have instructions, so make sure you understand that and follow that.
Correct. What's next?
The next thing I wanted to talk about was marriage. In marriage, you don't want to be selfish. It's a very key point. It's a very key point, baby, because especially when you're single, you've been yourself for so long. It's always been about you and what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And then all of a sudden you're thrusted into this situation, this relationship where you have to take someone else into consideration.
It's not all about me, baby.
It is all about you for me.
And it's all about you for me.
And so that's why it works, right? And I think that the selfishness, understanding how you have to work yourself out of these situations. When you're upset, you have to remove yourself from the center. You have to understand that when you make it all about the other person is going to make it all about you, and that's where the magic is.
Listen very carefully. Listen. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
It is never, ever, ever going to be about just you again.
Yes.
Never.
That's true.
Not on Girls' Day, not on Boys' Day, not on me time, not anything. Everything needs to include that other person in your life. And I say this with conviction because you have a tendency to think, oh, just because I'm married doesn't mean I can't make these decisions on my own.
I'm a grown man.
I'm a grown woman.
Yeah, I'm married.
But why I got to ask him?
I'm grown.
And it's going to happen. You're going to feel like that sometimes. You're going to feel like, why do I have to ask this other person? And the reason why you ask this other person is to get their take.
Yep.
Baby, I really want to dye my hair that Ronald McDonald red color. I just think it'll look so good on me.
Yeah. So I think, baby, maybe we should consider... see what Auburn looks like.
You don't like. I really like that red.
I'm just not sure about the fire engine McDonald red. The red may not work.
But it looks so good on. No.
Let's start with Auburn.
Okay. And that's another thing, guys. That's a compromise.
No shade to anybody with McDonald's hair.
No, none whatsoever. It looks good on some people.
Do your thing.
But it's about, I want my man to think I look good.
Right.
So I want my man to think I look good in something that I'd like to look good in. So let's get his input.
Yes.
Yes. What about think of something that you would want? It's a little off for men. I'm not a man. So.
No, I think it's something as simple as, hey, I'm gonna go have a golf weekend with the guys. We're gonna go to Vegas and
Vegas.
We're gonna play golf in Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, our buddy lives out there. We're gonna hang out. It's gonna be dope.
You getting a side eye from me right now,
babe? What's wrong? It's like a bunch of guys just going there.
I've been to Vegas. I know what the girls look like in Vegas. I know they're just walking around.
All right. What do you think about me inviting the guys out here and we do a weekend down at Pinehurst?
I like that so much better.
Cool. It's not just about me anymore.
Right.
I have to make it about her and understand that when I make it about her, she's going to make her life about me, and that we are going to have this beautiful submission, this joint partnership, this engagement.
Submission.
Yeah, that's a whole separate conversation right there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
We'll unpack the submission conversation in another podcast.
Because it definitely needs to be discussed.
But the point is that if you want a long-lasting, joyful relationship, you're going to have to not be selfish.
No, selfishness needs to go. It's not just about you anymore.
Yeah. And so the final point I want to make is that marriage is a marathon,
not a sprint.
So guys, this is so important for you to understand, right? You have to really, forgive yourself, forgive your partner, be patient, understand that Rome was not built in a day. You're going to screw up sometimes. You're going to say dumb stuff sometimes. You're going to do dumb stuff sometimes, but you're married now.
You might even hurt each other sometimes.
You got to keep going.
You have to keep going. Think of it as a daily relationship.
Yes.
Think of it as your day. Mm-hmm. What am I going to do for my other person today?
Yes.
What am I going to say? How am I going to feel? How am I going to act? And it takes a commitment. It takes a commitment to loving that other person. It takes commitment because that lovey-dovey feeling goes away, y'all.
That lovey-dovey feeling I get when I'm with you.
Yeah, no. It's not. No.
Who is that? That's Tony Terry, right?
Yeah. Ain't you?
You know.
So, make sure you understand those things. So just to recap, what were those things? The first one was what? Gotta put my glasses on. Guys.
Communication is key.
Communication. God first.
No, actually, number 2 we did was have fun.
Oh, so communication is key.
Communication is key.
Okay, what's the second one?
Have fun in your relationship, in your marriage.
Third one?
Keep God first.
Fourth one?
Don't be selfish.
And last but not least,
marriage is a marathon.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks again for listening today, folks. If you liked any of what you heard, please like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast. Tell a friend, too. And you can engage us at heathandtracy.com for all the goings-on in our world. Queen Tracy, speak to the people.
Bye, loves.